y'all, welcome back to another episode of Brave Kids Art Club. My name is Brad and I am so excited to draw with you today, especially since this little animal is a tiny, cute little animal that's really fun to draw. In fact, I just saw one of these the other day. It's the smallest member of the squirrel family. It likes to store food in its cheeks and they're really shifty and quick. Do you know what animal we're drawing? That's right, we're drawing a chipmunk today. So let's jump right into it and make sure we have everything that we need to get started. All right, well, let's make sure we have a piece of paper out, and then we'll need a sharpened pencil. We'll need an eraser of some type. We'll need a dark pen or a marker to do some outlining. And then at the very end, we're going to do some coloring. And coloring in a chipmunk is extra fun because they have cool little marks, like little stripes on their back. All right, so I want to draw my little chipmunk, maybe just sitting with its tail wrapped around down here and maybe just looking up over here with his little feet down. Now, if you want to make your chipmunk holding on to some food, that would be pretty fun too. So let's draw maybe a circle over here, right about here. Let's draw a circle. Now, notice how my circles are not fantastic. It's almost a little bit like an oval. That's all right. But let's make sure we get our circle right here, and it's gonna be, we don't have to draw super hard. I draw a little bit harder so you can see it, but we wanna be able to erase all this later. So we just wanna make sure that we have a guide for, where things are gonna be. So it's okay to draw a bunch of lines. All right, and then I'm gonna draw another circle right about here. Right about here. I'm gonna try to align the top of the head closely with this, maybe go a little bit over. That's good, and then now we just need to start refining the shapes a little bit more. So let's start with the head. Now I'm going to kind of go off the top. I like this shape for the top of the head, but now I'm going to kind of bring it down. So follow the circle right there and then kind of come down right here. So it's kind of to a point. And then I'm going to do this funky S shape. Now follow me. This might be a little tricky, but we're going to do it. Okay. This S shape. So it's going to come back. We're going to hit this circle again. We're going to come back around, kind of come back around that circle and then go back down. You see that that's an S shape? And then we need to do some things on this side too. So go back up here. Let's meet back up where the head is. And we're going to go down and just have it kind of connect right there. So we don't have to have it be that dramatic of an angle. We can just have it go right into the back. So I'm just going to kind of go up here, follow that around. Maybe I like what I've already drawn, so maybe I could stick with that. And then I'm going to kind of straighten it out there a little bit at the end. I'm not going to keep following that circle. I'm going to straighten it out just a little bit. Let's make sure we know where the hands and feet are going to be before we put this tail in here, because the tail is going to fit right down here. All right, so let's continue this shape. Now that S shape, I have a feeling I just want to kind of go like this. I want to kind of emphasize that S shape maybe a little bit, because then I'm going to go and draw where the arm's going to be. So the arm kind of goes back here a little, and we're going to draw like a backwards C shape. So draw a little curve shape right there for the back of that arm. Maybe this needs to come forward a little bit more, and I can erase some things as I'm going. That's how we have our eraser. See, we don't need that big, those circle shapes in there anymore, because we've already kind of refined the outline. We've kind of made those a little clearer. So now I'll just go on the inside and I'll start erasing a little bit. What else do we need? Oh, we probably need that back hind leg, and those are always bigger than the front. So we'll do a big, kind of their haunches or whatever. I say that every time. It's kind of a funny word, but yeah, it's where when they're laying down, it's where their knees and their thighs are up here in this shape. So we're going to draw kind of like a C shape right here. Right here. We're going to have it go down below a little bit. Let's draw that foot there so you can see what I'm talking about. So we're going to draw a little line right out here. A little diagonal line here. And we're going to add, they got little claws and little toes, so you can kind of see all the different little toes. So I'm just going to do a few little easy lines like that. And then I'll bring that shape back. And maybe I'll just kind of go like that. Just kind of do a curve. If you want to do a straight line and over, that's fine too. You do it how you'd like to do it. So let's maybe draw another little hand. Now the little hands, if you've ever seen one, they can pick up little nuts or berries or things like that, and they can hold them on in their hands, and it looks pretty cute. It looks like a person's hands almost, in the way that they kind of hold things. So we got to add little kind of fingers. They're less paw-like and they're more fingers. So we'll do kind of the same thing we did with the feet, but not as long. We'll just kind of go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we know that they actually have 5 fingers like we do, but we're just going to draw the 4 because it shows up a little easier. Maybe there's one hidden back there. There's another thing's hidden back there. That's what we'll say. That's what we'll tell people. Let's draw another leg back here. So we're going to draw, kind of mimic the same thing we've done here. We're just going to do it on the other side of the body so you can see that it has more than just the one leg right here. Or one arm, I should say. There we go. And we'll do the same kind of hands there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to bring this down. And so now we still have to have a little foot in the back. I think we can still fit in another foot. We don't have to draw the whole foot, but we can just draw another one kind of like this in the background. And you can tell that there's another foot back there. And then let's draw the tail. Now again, this is not all final. This is still like the early drawings that we're working on, so we can make some mistakes here and we can change it up still. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 different sketches of the same thing just to get to where I'm comfortable with what I'm drawing. So now I'm going to do this little curve shape back here and draw a tail. Now this isn't as important to get the exact shape down. Just know that their tail doesn't do a lot of tapering, which means it doesn't go from big to small or small to big. It just kind of stays the same shape. So I'm going to kind of just go down here. It does a little bit of tapering, but not a lot. And I'm just going to have it connect. You'll see when they run, that little tail shoots straight up, and when they're running, it just kind of hangs out. It's pretty cute. You'll have to go check it out. Maybe you can ask your parents to show a video of a little chipmunk. Or you've probably actually seen a chipmunk. They're really, really common, at least here in North America. They're very, very common. I've seen them lots of them. I actually just saw some the other day. We got to do something with the face. I think that's our next bit. Let's draw a nose here. They have a tiny little nose. Here we go. And then we're going to do the mouth. So maybe like right about here, we're going to do a little curve. And we're going to have it kind of curve up. So you can have it connect all the way if you want. I'm probably not going to outline that whole part, but I will probably just draw this much in. And then I'm going to draw a little curve right here to kind of meet up with it. Another one like that. And then I'm going to erase this line, at least at the bottom of it. And then I'll just add a little tooth. They got those little teeth in the front. Kind of reminded me of the beaver that we drew. Well, now let's put the eye in there because I feel like that's important. And we'll do it right back here. Let's do this. There we go. Now circles are kind of hard, so if you need something like a glue stick, you can lay down and trace it, or the cap of your marker if it's round, you can just erase, or you can kind of just trace it. That'll help you. Sometimes I like how it looks when it's hand drawn. The mistakes or the imperfections are just fine. It actually just adds to the artwork. All right, so I've actually already thought of a name for my chipmunk, and I'm not sure if you have yet, but be thinking of a name if you haven't. I'm going to name my chipmunk Alvin, after Alvin and the Chipmunks. I think that's such a perfect name for my little chipmunk. And speaking of Alvin and the Chipmunks, chipmunks may not actually be fantastic at singing like Alvin is, but they do make a lot of noises, a range of different noises. In fact, some people get them confused with bird sounds, so I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, so now we're going to, they have actually these little markings that we'll do when I do the coloring, but maybe we'll do this with the marker because it's we want that black color there. They kind of have these little lines around the eyes. That's one of the things I noticed about chipmunks. So they have a few distinct markings that kind of distinguish them from other squirrels, aside from their size. And let's add their ears. They don't have the biggest ears, I noticed. Let's do this. Let's do a little... They do have bigger ears, but not the biggest ears I've ever seen. Okay, so now I'm going to erase some of those lines on the inside. Maybe I'll go like... There we go. I kind of like that. You could do just a straight line if you'd like. Make sure you're adding in little bits and personality of you. whatever you'd like to do. Maybe you want yours to look a little, maybe you want yours to be holding food or something like that. It's okay. You know what? I'm actually pretty happy with this. Now, I'm not going to color this in, but let me just show you with the pencils slightly what I'm going to do with some of the coloring. So there's a few areas. Oh, wait, put some dots here first. And if you want to add whiskers, you can add whiskers. Sometimes those just kind of get in the way, so I may not add them, but just know that they're there. They have some markings that are kind of around their eyes, like this. And then they have this big kind of like pouch. It's actually their cheek area that they can fit lots and lots of food in. And when they put the food in there, it looks hilarious because they can shove so much food in their cheeks and carry it around that it can be almost 3 times the size of their actual head. So it goes... So I had a hamster once and it did that and it was hilarious. Every time I gave it treats, it would just shove them all in its mouth until it was full and then it'd go bury it somewhere. And that's what chipmunks do as well. So we'll kind of do that with maybe some of the colors. And then they have the stripes, the big iconic stripes on the back. But I'm ready to go now do some outlining. All right, let's start drawing. I'm gonna start with the head here. I'm gonna go up. And remember, if there's anything that you need to erase beforehand so you don't get confused what parts need to be erased, erase them now, or you might just draw over it. I think I did that in my last video. I drew over an area that I didn't want to draw because I left the pencil there. All right, so we got the, there we go. And then we'll draw the other ear hidden back here. How's yours looking? I hope it's coming together for you and you're having a good time. That's the most important part, that you're having a good time drawing it how you want to draw it. All right, so we're gonna do that nose, that little nose. It's gotta be a good little nose because they always know when there's food around. I feel like anytime I go camping, there's always a little chipmunk running around looking for food to store up in those chubby cheeks. And they'll go run and they'll go hide it somewhere. They like to stash food because they don't know when food's always going to be around. Especially during the winter. It's a little bit hard for them to always have food just readily available. A lot of animals do that. But they're really notorious for doing that. That's why you always see, you know, cartoons where squirrels are gathering nuts and things and hiding them in trees. They do that. They hide stuff. They hide berries and nuts and seeds. But that's actually not the only thing that the chipmunks eat. They don't just eat nuts and seeds. They're actually not very picky. They're omnivores. Do you know what an omnivore is? That means they'll eat both meat and vegetables. So they'll eat both. They don't just eat one or the other. They're not very picky. So they'll actually eat frogs or lizards sometimes. They'll eat bird eggs, baby birds, I think, sometimes too, which is really sad. But they're not very picky eaters. Okay, let's do that foot there with the little toes. These are great for climbing trees. And their little fingers are great for grabbing things. You know, one animal I haven't drawn yet with y'all is a raccoon. And their little hands remind me a lot of raccoon hands, which I'm excited to draw too. Oh shoot, that got a little wobbly. Oh, that's okay. Is it the end of the world if I got a wobbly line? No, it's not. There, let's do this in one sweep. This is a big shape. Sometimes these big shapes you have to take breaks halfway through. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just finish it. There we go. Now, just before you go, don't do this part right here. Don't draw any of those lines unless you want to. I mean, you can technically draw those lines. I'm gonna do all those with my coloring with my markers, and maybe you'll be doing it with the different. Maybe you'll do colored pencils and things like that, or paints. But regardless, it might be easier to do those markings with color, as opposed to you might have too many lines, or it'll just look a little too harsh. So where do these little chipmunks hang out? I see them running around, but where do they live? What do they live in? They like to burrow. They make little tunnels, little holes that they'll hide in. They could be 10 to 30 feet long. And that's long for a tiny little animal, tiny little critter. So they like to burrow in little and little dens that they make. Okay, I gotta stop talking for 1 second while I draw this eye. Ooh, there we go. Now we're gonna draw the big pupil because we want it to be a happy little chipmunk. I almost called it a squirrel. I mean, technically it's in the squirrel family, but it's a chipmunk. There's a difference, and there's lots and lots of different types of chipmunks. Like I said, I am gonna draw this little shape over here around the eye, this little marking. I want that on there, so I'm gonna do that with the dark pen that I have here. There we go. Okay, now we need to go and just start erasing all of the pencil underneath before we start coloring. And like I said, if you want to follow along with me on the coloring, I'm just gonna quickly, you'll see a little time lapse of me coloring in my chipmunk, but then right afterwards, if you want to pause it so you can see, that'd be perfect, and you can kind of follow along and do your coloring. Otherwise, go do your thing, I'll do mine, and we'll meet up right after. And there we go. Alvin is finished. Now, again, if you needed to stop this, pause it, and take a look at this and see all the markings, they were a little bit tricky even for me to get the markings just right. But maybe you're using a different medium, different type of coloring tool to make that easier on you. Hopefully you did. And hopefully you had fun. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Hopefully you're happy with how yours turned out. We always sign our work afterwards to show how proud we are of what we made. So I'm gonna put my initials down here in the corner and call this little piece done. Well, thank you guys so much for drawing with me today. This has been so much fun. Remember, we do this Monday through Friday every single week, so please subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoyed drawing this chipmunk with me today, please give this video a like. I really would appreciate it. Now, I really want to see what you made, so have your parents go on Instagram and tag us at Brave Kids Art Club with your artwork, or you can email it to us directly or go to our Facebook page. Any of those things to show us your artwork, because I would love to see it. And before you go,
and I live in Idaho. Be brave, be creative, and most importantly, be you.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.